Gary, of course, is our former CRD director. He's our former MLA for Salt Spring. He played a key role in protecting Grace Islet. And Gary, you've been active in public life for many years, and we're going to leave the field wide open to you as well to comment on the current process.
Well, thank you, Donald. That's a dangerous proposition. There are a lot of formers in there, I realize, but no, I'm very proud to be sitting here with these folks, and thanks very much for everyone for coming out and positively, for organizing this. I did want to speak a little bit about the $60 million in grants that was mentioned earlier before by Patricia. I think I was the originator of that estimate. They're rough numbers. I did want to go through that a little bit, but just to touch on a couple of points made earlier about the trust. Because the yes side talks about, we can have a municipality and we can have the trust too. The trust absolutely is weakened. And one other factor I don't think anybody's mentioned yet, and maybe I missed it, is that a municipality can end run trust council. So if there's a disagreement between the trust council and a municipality with respect to, say, an OCP change, the municipality can appeal to the minister. The local trust committee does not have that option. If that's not weakening the trust, I don't know what is. The melding of land use and servicing decisions, that happens at precisely the same time as you take on that 265 kilometers of roads and additional policing responsibilities, which the consultant has estimated will cost us at least $900,000 a year more on Salt Spring. Richard Kerr has done work, just as Brenda's done work on roads, indicating that those are underestimates. Richard Kerr has done work on the policing side, indicating that's probably an underestimate as well. So the melding of land use and service delivery decisions happens at exactly the same time as you take on these significant new liabilities, which are only going to increase over time. It was mentioned before that municipalities can borrow money without taxpayer approval, and I spent a lot of time on the peninsula. Some would argue in the last 4 years I spent too much time there, but in any case, I didn't come to Salt Spring enough, but I did get a chance to observe at close hand the 3 municipalities on the peninsula. And a perfect example of the authority to borrow without taxpayer approval, Sydney just did that. They just authorized a borrowing of $10 million to build a new fire hall without a referendum, without a counter petition, because they can do it, because the Local Government Act allows them to do it. So a municipality definitely has more authority, more power, and that's happening exactly the same time as you're taking on these new financial responsibilities. So the 60 million, for me, that's also wrapped up in the question or the assertion that's often made that, you can't get things done on Salt Spring. It's too complicated, and Greg was verifying that somewhat with his sign story. I firmly believe the current system can work that out, Greg, but I guess that remains to be seen. And yes, it is quirky, it is fragmented, it can be difficult to get things through, but make no mistake, the accomplishments of this community, there's no other community in British Columbia, incorporated or not, who can make the same claim about the accomplishments we've made on this island over the last 16 years. So please. So just a bit of a breakdown. That 60 million, and in fact, it's more than that. They're fairly rough numbers, but a lot of those dollars went to conservation purchases on Salt Spring. Since 2001, we've protected over 5,000 acres of green space on Salt Spring, including Burgoyne Bay, which was, I think, your first slide that you had up there, including Ford Lake, which was another slide up there. 5,000 acres. And again, there's no community that can match that. Certainly on the peninsula, I saw no evidence of that at all. Grace Island, of course, included in that. Housing, since 2001, $14 million in grants for affordable housing projects here on Salt Spring. And compared to the 3 municipalities on the peninsula, all 3 together did not generate that amount of funding or generate that much of affordable housing than we have on Salt Spring. We have an abattoir here. We have a community farmland trust here. They do not have that. on the peninsula. Water, sewer upgrades, library, pool, gas tax funding, now $550,000 a year that we can apply to pathways, to water, to a number of different things. So, you know, this nonsense that we can't get grants, there's another example. Transit itself, $100,000 a year, $2 million over the period when transit was started. And again, an award-winning system, got a national award for the best small rural startup in Canada, and doubled its ridership since 2008. There's no other community in BC that can match that record. Our upgrades to Lady Mental Hospital, recycling in the CRD, residential recycling in the CRD is free. So and again, community services gets over $200,000 a year to run our recycling center, and that's from, at least historically, that was from the Heartland tipping fees. I'm going on a bit here, but I think you understand that this community has accomplished great things under the current system, and you can absolutely look forward with citizen engagement to continuing that record. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Gary.